So, hello and welcome to this session about introducing you to information sources. My name's Catherine Holmes. I'm an academic liaison librarian here at the university, and I look after nursing and health sciences. So we're going to be looking at key information sources, and we're going to focus on books, journals and websites. We're also going to look at how we search for information within those sources, and we'll mention how to get help and further support. So information and evidence in nursing and healthcare is really important. You're going to need your information and evidence to underpin your academic work, your theory, your coursework, but also to support you in practice as well. Evidence-based practice is very important in nursing and healthcare, and evidence and information will help you make the best decisions about treatment and care delivery and help you keep up to date with your practice and main standards. So really important in nursing and healthcare. So we've got all sorts of different sources of information. It may seem a bit overwhelming to start with. You will be using things like research papers, theories, guidelines, standards, systematic reviews, government and organisational publications. So you've got information coming at you in a number of different forms. So we're going to focus on books, journals and web resources, because all of these types of information are incorporated in one or other of these categories. So let's look at books first. So academic textbooks, what are they? You're going to use them as a general overview to your subject area. You'll get the foundation. You'll get information about key theories, models and philosophies. So nursing theories, for example, you'd get good information about those from academic textbooks, reflective models, things like that. Academic textbooks tend to be secondary information sources where existing ideas are talked about and analysed and interpreted. So how do you search for academic textbooks? There are three main ways. You can go along to the library and have a look on the shelves. Now if you do this in term time, it's likely that a lot of the books are going to be out on loan, so you only see the tip of the iceberg. So that might not be a very effective way of looking for information. The best way is probably to start with by looking at your reading list. So for every course and every module there will be a reading list, and you can access this either through your course area on the VLE or through the library website. Now the reading lists are particularly useful because they are pointers to what is essential reading, what is recommended reading, what is further reading, and a lot of them also include journals and websites as well. So we sometimes call them reading and resource lists. When you want to look beyond your reading list, you should be searching Summon. We'll say a little bit more about Summon later. It is the university search tool which you can use for searching for books and journals, but basically it's helping you look beyond your reading list at additional resources. So where to find your books: browse the shelves, link to your reading list, search Summon. So if you're looking for books in the library, we use a classification system called Dewey Classification System, where you get a number and the author's surname. Some of the books in nursing and health sciences can be quite long and tricky, and you need to think of the numbers after the decimal point as sort of individual numbers, digit by digit, so don't look at them as whole numbers. So we've got some examples of what will be filed before what. If you need any help finding a book in the library at any point, go along and ask for help at the help desk. So when it comes to borrowing books, undergraduates can borrow up to 16 books, slightly more for postgraduates. Most of the books are available for 3-week loan. There are some 1-week loans, not quite so many of these in the nursing and health sciences. You'll see the yellow spine labels. And as with all books, we've got self-service issue, return and reservation. You can pay your fines at the kiosks, etc. If you need to keep a book out for slightly longer than 3 weeks, as long as nobody else has reserved the book, you can renew that. Overdue charges, 10p a day for standard loans, 50p a day for short loans. We send you lots of overdue and courtesy notices to remind you, so you need to constantly check your university email address if you're borrowing books. To renew your books, from the library website, from the start page, you will have an Access My Library account option, and this takes you into the area where you can renew your books. There will be a short video here helping you to navigate to and use your reading list. So not all books are available in print. We have got a large number of electronic ebooks, particularly in nursing and health sciences. And this means that you can access these books both on and off campus, so it makes them much more accessible. There are several ebook formats which we use, but they're all very similar. They're all really easy to use. With all of them, you can browse within a book, you can search for words or phrases, there will be print options, and some of the providers, ebook providers, give you note-taking, highlighting options, etc. But they all very much follow the same format. So why would you use an ebook? You've got instant access to high-demand material on or off campus whenever you want to use it. So a lot of the essential reading material on your reading lists will be available as an e-copy. If it's available, we'll purchase it. Often you'll find ebooks are actually more easy to navigate. Sometimes if you're trying to find information in a print book, sometimes the index isn't very helpful, so you can't pinpoint that information that you need. When you've got the search facility within the ebooks, you can search the whole content of the book very easily. Obviously, you don't have to worry about renewals or overdue charges. There are increasingly some titles that are only available electronically. It may be that it's a very expensive item, so we just purchase one electronic copy that's available for everyone to use. For nursing and health sciences, you may be away on extended placements. You may not be able to come in and access the library, so using ebooks is a very useful alternative. So this video shows you how to search for information within an ebook. So turning away from books, let's look at journals. So if you were just to stick to the books on your reading list and any additional books you found in Summon, you would probably be being marked down for your assignments because your tutors are wanting you to use a range of resources, and these include journal articles. Now you might find articles within two different types of journal. So we have the academic and the scholarly journals, but we also have practice and professional journals. And they're both useful sources of information. They complement each other. So how can you find journal articles? Well, you can search Summon, our big search tool that includes books and journals, both print and electronic. You can use our A to Z of Journals tool, which you can find on the homepage of our library website. Key journals will be mentioned in your reading lists, and there will be links to those. And you will also be able to find journal articles through searching some of the small specialist databases, for example CINAHL, which we'll talk about later. So the two types of journals, just to say a little bit more about them. The academic scholarly type of journal tend to contain research articles. So where some experts in the field may have conducted some new research, they will have written it up generally as a paper within the journal. These papers tend to be quite long. They might include abstracts, which is a summary of the article. They might include bibliographies at the end. These types of journals tend to come out monthly or less frequently. The professional practice type journals come out much more regularly. They tend to be weekly or fortnightly publications. The articles in them are shorter. There's lots of editorials. They are just easier to read and understand. They include more current information. You might get things like job adverts in there, and they will tend to review research articles that are about to come out, but generally professional journals, you won't get the lengthy research articles in there. They'll alert you to what's coming out, and then you'll be able to read them in the more academic journals. But both sorts are very useful. So types of journal articles that you might be looking out for. So the review articles you tend to find in the practice professional journals, alerting you to new forthcoming research. The research articles, these often call themselves primary research articles, studies, qualitative, quantitative studies, and they are new research based on what the author or their team have produced. Systematic reviews are also found within journal articles. These are really important in healthcare and really useful, because what they do is they round up the best research on a given topic and give you an overview. They pull out common themes and things like that, because there's so much evidence in healthcare that you just can't expect to read all of it. So this is where systematic reviews are really useful. So we've mentioned Summon already. You can think of Summon as Library Google. It's our one-stop discovery tool for searching for all the material that we purchase for you as students. And this will include books, e-books, and journal articles. Now, what Summon doesn't cover is web resources. So it's basically content that we purchase. It's very good for breadth rather than depth. So it's easy to search fairly superficially. You can cast your net quite widely, but because the search functionality isn't particularly developed, you could miss information that you would find if you were to search a more specialist resource, and in nursing this would be CINAHL. But Summon is a brilliant starting point for finding basic information. It's particularly useful at level 4, but when you get onto level 5 or level 6, in nursing and health sciences, you need to be moving away from Summon and using the more specialist resources. So this video will show you how to do a basic Summon search. So what's the difference between searching Summon rather than Google? Let's just recap. When you're using Summon, you're searching for content that this university has paid for and provided for you, which means it's safe to use, safe to reference. It's all good quality academic information. And Summon has got lots of ways you can filter content. So you can end up with quite a filtered search results. With Google, you're not always sure, 100% sure, that you are looking at academic information, unless you have specifically gone to an organisational, government, professional, trusted organisation. There's always that bit of doubt there, and you may have to sort of evaluate the site before it's can be used. If you over Google, your lecturers are going to pick it up, your marks are going to come down. So basically, Summon would be a better starting point for you than Google. So if we turn from journal articles and think a little bit about web resources and what are good web resources, anything that's coming from a government body, an academic institution, a professional organisation, is likely to be trustworthy. And from these sorts of organisations, you're going to get things like policy documents, research papers, guidelines, standards, reports, statistics. And this is all useful information for you to use and reference in your work. So these are some examples of what I mean by government bodies. We've got Department of Health, NHS England, Public Health England, and some examples of professional bodies that put out their own publications, be Nursing and Midwifery Council, Royal College of Nursing, and particularly NICE, the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence. They put out some really excellent publications. So I'm just going to talk about 3 resources on the web that are trustworthy and good to use, and there will be a video showing you how to use these. The first one I want to mention is NICE Evidence. It used to be called NHS Evidence. A lot of people still refer to it as NHS Evidence. And what you can use this for is to get high quality information. It tends to be guidelines and standards and systematic reviews, information like that, that's going to supplement the information you find in books and journals. It's a free service. You don't even have to be a student to use this, so you can just Google NHS or NICE Evidence and you'll find the site. Its focus tends to be on UK organisations, so that's really good. And if you create a sign-in, you can save searches, set up alerts, and use some of the other features available. So this is something that will stay with you when you leave university. So this will be really good for evidence-based practice in the future. Similar resource, not so well known perhaps, TRIP, Turning Research into Practice. Again, it helps you find high quality research evidence. This one is slightly more international in scope than NICE Evidence, so be aware of that, but there is a way of filtering to UK content. It's really easy to search. It includes a little bit more patient information, I suppose, than NICE Evidence, which is more aimed at the practitioner. This has a bit of both in it. So you'll find things like sort of patient information leaflets in here, for example. And again, this is one that will follow you when you leave university. You still have access to this when you're a student, when you're no longer a student. And a final one, I'm mentioning this with caution, NHS Choices. This is a service user website more than anything. It's where patients can sort of check things about treatments and their conditions. So you have to bear that in mind, and you shouldn't use too many references from this source. For example, I had a student last year who had basically over-referenced from this source, not complemented it with sort of book or journal or even any other types of web resources, and that student was failed. So sort of use this with caution, but it does have a really useful health news section, and you can use this to look at the headline, to look behind the headlines, at the research, that the headlines often sensationalised, so you can track back to the original research that generated the headline, and that's really interesting. And again, this is an open resource that you can use when you're no longer a student. So that's 3 really useful resources to think about using, and they're all safe to use. So this video just gives you a brief look at each of the 3 resources that we've just talked about. So I'm going to move on to look at, to mention briefly the more specialist resources that you can use, because it's never too early to start thinking about these. Even if you don't use them initially, you just need to be aware of them. The most important one for all nursing and health related courses is CINAHL, but there are others. We've got British Nursing Database, we've got Nursing and Allied Health, Medline, PubMed, Psychology Database. and whether it's radiography or operating department practice, midwifery, public health, general health sciences, these resources are going to be really useful. The best one to start with is CINAHL because it's the most intuitive one. Students tend to like this one better, you get really good results, and because it's nursing and allied health, it covers all the health professions. It covers practice and academic journals, so both types that we've talked about. The search functionality allows you to search very precisely, which you can't really do in Summon, so you tend to get much better results. And you can access CINAHL through the A to Z of e-resources, which is on the home page. So I'm just going to run through a basic search topic, and there will be a video actually showing you how to search for this topic in the database itself. But we just need to talk a little bit about structuring a search. So this topic comes up an awful lot, the use of honey in treating leg ulcers. So if I'm searching for this topic, I need to think about the key concepts in here, and you need to do this for whatever you're searching. What are the key elements that you're going to need to search on? Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not easy. In this case, I am going to treat this as 3 separate concepts because there are different ways of talking about ulcers. So basically, when you go to a database, you'll get an advanced search option where typically you'll have 3 search boxes. And what you need to do is to put each concept in a different box because you're going to develop a search string for each of these. So we've got leg, ulcers and honey. So first thing I'm going to think about is what other words can I use for leg. So leg could be singular or plural. It's more likely to be singular. The word venous is associated with legs, so we've got that in that search string. The OR that we see here is an operator, a Boolean operator, which simply instructs the database to find one or other of these words. It doesn't have to find all of them, it can find 1, 2, sometimes all of them, unlikely though. So I'm going to go to the next concept, which is ulcers, and I'm going to think about, are there any other words that might be useful here? Are ulcers called anything else? Are there any related words? So I might think about using words like wounds or sores or even abscesses, if I could spell it, it's a very difficult word. But these are all relating to that idea. Do we have any other words for honey? No, I don't, so I'm just going to leave that on its own. The next thing I'm going to do is to apply a truncation symbol to make this search work better and the results to be more effective. And the operator is this star that I've used only in the second row, and this allows me to get alternative endings on these words. So they might be singular or plural. Ulcer with a star would find ulcer, ulcers, ulceration, and any other variants of that word. Wound would find wound, wounds. It would also find wounding, and sore, singular or plural. Now, I don't think any of these other words, honey is honey, I don't think that would have any endings on it. I could have put a star on the word leg, but I didn't, because I wanted to avoid picking up unhelpful words like legal or legitimate or any other words that might be found. So sometimes truncation is useful, sometimes you've got to be a bit wary of it, particularly on short words. So running that search through CINAHL, which is demonstrated in the video, is very effective and very quickly finds you the best results, which you could spend quite a while searching for in Summon. One more quick example, and this is a topic that comes up really regularly in nursing, compassion in the nursing of elderly people. Key concepts here would be compassion, nursing, and elderly. So we'd have 3 search rows. one concept per row, and then we'd build this up. Are there any other words for nursing? No, probably not. Compassion, yes, we'll use empathy. Elderly, yes, we'll use older, or the phrase later life actually crops up quite a lot in nursing literature. Can I make the search any better? Yes, I can use truncation. So nurse with a star would find nurse, nurses, nursing. Compassion with a star would find compassion, compassionate. And empath would find empathetic, empathy. I've put double quotation marks around later life to lock it as a fixed phrase, because with phrases the words can drift apart from each other. So the double quotation mark stops that happening. So this video shows you how to run those searches through CINAHL and shows you the types of results that you might get and how you might be able to filter those results. So we've run through the different types of resources that are going to be important for you. So just to summarise, we're going to be using books, essential, recommended and further reading, which you're going to find on the library shelves via your reading lists by searching Summon. Journals and also newspapers, which we haven't specifically mentioned but might sometimes be helpful. Journal articles, could be academic journals, professional journals. If you want very topical information, you can use newspapers, and we do have a newspaper database. Again, you can access journals through links in your reading lists, searching Summon, and through subject databases like CINAHL. Web resources, we looked at NHS evidence, or NICE evidence as it's now called, turning research into practice and NHS choices. And again, you'll find links to these in your reading lists, through your subject guides and in Google. So Harvard referencing, just a quick mention here, because you may have found all these wonderful sources that you're going to use in your work, which is brilliant, but you mustn't drop marks by bad referencing. So in nursing and health sciences, it is easy to drop marks through referencing. The tutors are quite sharp on it, and it is something that you need to work at. So we have lots of support on our website for you, and all our advice comes from this particular book, Cite Them Right, which is also available online on our main website. We can offer you lots of support. You can book one-to-one support for help with information searching and general academic skills. So there's myself, Catherine Holmes, there's Elle Wills, there's John Arnott, and we can all support you with general academic skills, things like searching, referencing, academic writing, reflective practice, etc. So you can book one-to-one support. Alongside that, we also run a workshop program during term time, and we also offer in-course support, where you'll often see me popping up in sessions sort of at various stages throughout your course here. So we have covered key information sources, we've looked at how to search, and we've talked about how to get help and support. So I hope that was helpful, and good luck with your studies here at the university.